So now, ladies and gentlemen, live and in colour, it's Mr. Wayne Lovejuice.
The other day our producer Louis had a chat with an interesting chappie who said that the YouTube algorithms really aren't that happy if a channel only broadcasts once a week, so we decided we could text ya whenever we've got a piece of news in our new book on the track Xtra. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to yet another episode of On the Track Extra. My name's John Downs, I'm the director of the Centre for Fortune Zoology, and behind me, over there, sitting on top of the fish tank, is a little black cat called Lilith, and together we're going to bring you the new episode. Now, I'm a silly old man, and I really can't do my sums. I was no good at doing my sums at school, and I still count on my fingers. And so I didn't realise that when I spoke to Richard Muirhead about the contents of the latest issue, I shouldn't really have a plate on top of it, the latest issue of Flying Snake, which is an excellent and very esoteric magazine that he publishes. Do I mean esoteric or eclectic? I think I probably mean both, because it's a very, very interesting magazine. It has all sorts of weird stuff in it you won't find anywhere else. I filmed more than enough for one episode, so we've already broadcast two, and it was when I finished editing the second episode, which was last week, that I realised, yes, boys and girls, 2 and 1 equal 3, and this is the third and final part of my conversation with Richard Muirhead about the latest episode of Flying Snake, issue of Flying Snake, and me and Lilith hope you are going to enjoy it. What's this? And this is from 1936. It happens in Leeds again. Really, Leeds is a very freaky place.
Hotspot of fortune zoology.
Oh yes, especially after Richard and his spider activities in the mid-90s. But a guy called Mr. Tom Battle found what looked like a piece of rope. "Here you are, mate," somebody shouted as he passed it to him. "Take hold of this." Mr. Battle took hold. Well, suddenly the rope moved, and looking at it, he found he was grasping a snake. It's about 2 foot long, greyish-green with black specks towards the tail and is black underneath. I would say that it's probably a colour variant of a grass snake.
Did this happen in a built-up area?
Apparently it happened through the gate of the Destructor Yard on Armley Road at 8 a.m.
Well, this is interesting because Charles Fort, in one of his books, talks about the repeated occurrences of snakes around Bloomsbury in London. I can't remember which of his books it is, but he definitely covers it, a story like that.
Well, I've always said, Richard, that you're the one with the wild talent.
Yeah.
It's interesting with grass snakes is that until very recently there was thought to be only one species of grass snake in Britain, but now 2 different colour variations have actually been found to be separate species. And so, if we're talking about a species that's quite easy to speciate, an animal that's quite good at speciating, this might have been at the beginnings of a new species, but we don't know. Then we go the rare marsh fertility found in Cumbria. Well, that's very nice because they used to be found all over the country, but during the 20th century they declined in numbers very, very much, and this is the first time, I believe, they've been found in Cumbria for decades. Now we have orcas, or killer whales, as they were called in my youth, attacking boats.
And no one really knows why.
Nobody has any idea why. It's quite exciting, isn't it? It's the sort of thing that would make a really good B-movie.
Yeah.
Now we have a strange egg, which is dark chocolate in colour.
Yes, that is a strange story, and it had a kind of sandpapery texture to it.
I've always been fond of chickens as individuals, but I have no idea what would have caused this. There's a pink grasshopper in Wales.
Yes, this summer there was a wave of pink grasshopper sightings all over the UK.
I think that the pink grasshopper stories are fascinating, and it is apparently a colour variant of, they are apparently leucistic specimens of a fairly large species of British grasshopper, but why they turned up in such numbers this year I have no idea. And then we have an orange frog in Essex.
Yeah.
You emailed them, didn't you?
Yes, I did, and they referred to the archive section of their website, so I typed in the phrase red frog, orange frog, and came up with a whole lot of tree frog reports.
Which is very interesting because it is becoming more and more likely, the more we know about the subject, that the European green tree frog, which I think is still called Hyla arborea, is actually a native species to Britain, because this again is based on some work Darren Naish has done in the New Forest. But I think it'd be fantastic if they were a native British species. And then you found, and by the way, the tree frogs were 1887, the orange frog was 1959, and the pink frog, entombed in a tree, was 1939 in Belfast.
So there's a wide range of strangely coloured frogs all over the UK.
But the Belfast one was supposed to be entombed alive in a tree.
Yes, I remember that, yeah.
And it only got woken up when the farmer started sawing the tree into planks.
Yeah.
And then we have a rare moth is rediscovered, reddish buff moths, which is really cool. And we have a really rather revolting picture of a six-legged skink.
Yes.
I like this. Hang on a second, I'm going to see if I can share it with you, because it is rather revolting. It's a bit of a noisome object. But you have a six-legged skink, which is found in Minnesota, and it was found this year. Then you have a record-sized hailstones. Bloody hell! A 19-centimetre hailstone found in Italy.
What I think that is several hailstones have been fused together, frozen together, and fallen. That's my theory.
Does that happen a lot?
I don't know if it happens a lot, but I think it does happen.
Okay, and now we have one of your favourite creatures, a black squirrel, and this was spotted scampering around Walworth, which is in London. Yes, it's in London. And I rather like black squirrel stories. Did I send you one the other day, a picture of a baby black squirrel?
No, you didn't.
Oh, I thought I did. I'll put it somewhere. I'll try and find it for you.
Thanks, John.
Then we have a big story about the super duper Loch Ness investigation from the end of August, which we've already covered in this show. And then we have an alligator. How do you do this stuff, Richard?
I think is that the one in the stomach?
No, this is an alligator stuck in a tree.
That could be Bob Skinner, possible.
Well, I know Bob Skinner, he doesn't look anything like an alligator.
No, I mean I think he found the story.
It's from the Gravesend Reporter in 1890, and it apparently happened in Florida. And
Right.
The alligator was 7 feet long.
Right, so it sounds like quite a young alligator.
And then we have, from this year, we have a large lizard, 3 feet long, which is probably a tegu found in the Channel Islands, which is so almost certainly a tegu, and which means it would have escaped the lovely lizards, tegus.
I've never seen one.
Oh, Max had a pair of them as pets.
Right, okay.
Then we have a lion in Tennessee.
Oh yes, yeah.
In 1909.
I have a theory, the further back in time you go, the more strange the stories are.
Yes, I think you're right. And here we have one from 1948 of a peculiar sea monster described as a serpent or superfish, being like a long hairy snake with the face like an ape's.
Now I've written more about this. John asked me to write this up, do a bit of research, so I have. John will tell you where that's appearing. It won't be appearing in Flying Snake. It'll be appearing in one of John's journals.
It will probably be in Animals and Men. It's a very peculiar story.
Yeah. There are sightings of sea serpents around Vancouver. I think Cadbosaurus, or Caddy, is the name of the one off the west coast of Canada.
And next, they're coming thick and fast.
2
new species of mole are discovered in Turkey. Well,
oh yes.
cool. And a peculiar moustache. What did I say moustache? A peculiar giraffe. A baby giraffe without its usual distinctive markings at the Bright Zoo in Limestone, Tennessee. It's solid brown colour, and it is believed to be the only solid coloured giraffe without any of the reticulations on the planet. And coming to the end, we have an interesting letter to fate.
You missed out one, John.
No, I know, I'm going to come back to end of that. We've got a letter to fate which was given to Richard about a weird moving rug which came from Gary Mangia. And we have a woman. I love Bob Skinner. How does he find this stuff? He's almost weirder than you, Richard. A woman with a zoo in her stomach. From the Todd Morton Advertiser and Hebden Bridge Advertiser, 25th of April 1873.
Well, that wasn't what I was thinking of. You've missed out the earthquake lights in Morocco.
So I have. Okay, well, we've got that. I'll come back to it. There's a woman, or was then a woman in Kentucky who kept a small menagerie stowed away in her digestive organs. She greatly grew emaciated and awfully voracious at the same time. And finally, through a dead mouse and a small live alligator, the rest of the collection is anxiously waited for, and her mouth has a resemblance to the door of Noah's Ark after the flood. Okay, Richard, please critique that story.
Sorry?
Critique that story for me. What do you think?
Fake news. I can't believe it. I think it's what they had a quiet news day and they wanted to fill in the quiet news with something exciting. So one of the clerks made that up.
But do you realise, Richard, you've just quoted Donald Trump, calling it fake news?
Well, I know, but it is fake news.
And with us, apparently, in the time of Akbar the Great, which I think was about 1500 from memory, frogs were regulate training in Akbar's time to hunt sparrows. And finally,
the back cover, remember?
I haven't finished. You haven't got to the lights and the...
Sorry.
What am I going to do with this boy? He tells me that I've forgotten the lights during the 2023 Morocco earthquake, and then he forgets them himself. There were reports of flashes of light seen during the 6.8 magnitude earthquake which hit the Atlas Mountains region on September the 8th, 2023. There are quite a few reports, aren't there, of earth lights in conjunction with tectonic activities.
It's the kind of thing that William Corliss would have recorded.
It's that kind of thing you and I record.
Yeah. And also, these lights were actually photographed or filmed.
And finally, have you seen the film?
I've just seen a still picture from it.
And finally, on the back cover, we have an absolutely gorgeous photograph showing what happens when... I always try to get these onto the screen. What happens when a mummy poplar hawk-moth and a daddy poplar hawk-moth in Macclesfield love each other very much and get it on? It's an absolutely beautiful picture. It's got absolutely no fortune significance whatsoever, but it's a lovely picture.
And my friend Cassia, my Polish friend, who used to print flying snake, I don't do it anymore at that place, but she has been printing flying snake for at least 15 years.